If you could tell us your name and all that good stuff.
Yeah, hi, Omari Fox, New Danger Art Crew, Azul board member.
And how did your association with Azul start?
Probably really before '09, but I didn't actually come here until 2009. But I kept hearing about Azul, and I actually thought Azul was a person. So I was like, who is Azul? Like, why is already here? Azul, we went to Azul. So I thought it was like a man named Azul. He had some house somewhere in North Carolina. So I don't think I literally figured it out that it was a place until we started to pull up.
Wow.
So a very weird backstory to that. And then I guess as the transition from Camille's house to Azul as an organization and a nonprofit, I was kind of one of the early folks tapped to be a board member. So I've been a board member ever since, probably the early 2010s.
Yeah, and when you first came to Azul, what was it about here that seemed so conducive to these initiatives?
I think it's pretty much expanding on the general way people might have heard about the facility. Like you kind of just hear this mystical kind of story about a house and how it evolved, with Camille and Dave. And then the first thing we normally do is have some kind of profound conversation over dinner. So just from really one or two of those, I'm already thinking like, why don't we just format it a little bit and invite people to just specifically have conversation, offer a workshop around anything that we kind of, feel like doing in the moment. So the first Skillshare I think that we did was in 2012, and I just kind of told the board about it, and everybody was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I didn't really have a format or a way I thought it could happen, but the first one was, I think, not just because it was the first one. It was just very intense as far as like the fun we had. I don't think we dealt with anything super heavy, but it just felt like from the whole time. For me, because we were kind of making it up as we went along, that one stood out the most to me. But basically every, Skillshare or just general visit to Azul, is always fun. Or it's like a reset, but it's also fun. But it's also maybe serious in terms of what we might talk about over dinner or in a workshop.
So if you would be asked what is a definition of a Skillshare, what would that?
I think I might have said it in the little Azul Imagine trailer, but essentially a learning exchange art style. I think learning exchange probably has a very fixed way or a definitive way. Maybe it's done in community organizing or nonprofits, but at its core would be a little bit of open space, meaning we might have a dialogue about something. And then somehow in the point of the conversation, someone might say, well, I know how to do that. And we'll either do it on the spot or pick a time to do it, or in a recent iteration, basically plan to happen and then schedule.
So basically the idea is in the words, sharing skills, and that is the fundamental idea. And then once the group who wishes to participate gets together, that's when it becomes defined more what skills are exactly being shared.
Right. But I think probably at its core is that everybody has expertise, maybe to a certain point, but I think it expands when you allow other people to add on to it. So I might have the Skillshare idea, but it expands when other people offer workshops or other people attend the workshops and then they add their thoughts to it. So it's not an expert model of I'm a know-it-all and I'm going to impart all this genius to you. It's here's a thing that we're all kind of interested. I have a way of, maybe pinching it off, but everybody who comes into the circle can add on to it. So for me, it's very co-creative. It's not just about an expert.
Would you say it's like based like formally or informally on like popular education methodologies and community-based research, things of that nature?
I would say it's in that neighborhood. But they always, even though we might even plan them ahead of time, they always feel organic in the moment. And I don't know that I've gone to a lot of workshops or learning exchanges where it felt like when you got there, it was kind of created on the spot. They usually feel very formatted, which isn't a bad thing, but I think just because of the atmosphere, and we still got Camille and Dave's DNA and intentions running through the place, that it just naturally unfolds, much like the facility kind of grew over time.
That's what I was going to say, because I've interviewed a lot of residents, and everybody from people who first come here to people who've been coming here for years always say that this building and this institution is like a living organism. It's an evolving living organism.
Absolutely. I would agree.
And so in that way, that that ideal is fitting into that organic unfolding.
Absolutely, definitely.
And so I guess my last question is, what is your creative and professional or what have you background?
Art teacher, recently retired, but art teacher by trade, visual artist by gift, and then I kind of evolved into a spoken word artist from really, I feel like graffiti, because graffiti is written visual art, but for me the poetry is in the style of the lettering, which for me translated into how you say words and put them together. So, and then I think once I got to a certain point of my creative practice and started to teach it, I didn't want to just talk about social change in my work. I wanted to actually try to cause it. And I think that's what helped me cross over into community organizing. I don't think I'm an expert by any means, but I know that being an artist and an art educator were like the ingredients for me to evolve into working with community around a whole number of things.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Omari.
All right, thanks for having me.